Hey, friend, it has been a minute, and whether you've noticed or not, I ghosted you. Not on purpose. I definitely did not plan it that way. But as I've learned now many times, life does not always go as planned, even when you're trying your very best to show up, to do the right thing, making mistakes and stumbling along the way. But for a few weeks now, months really, I've been praying about, okay, how do I come back to Created Worthy? Because I really just went silent, completely silent. I didn't post anything. I didn't share anything about what was going on. Over these last few weeks, I've really just been praying and trying to discern what should I share? And what I feel like the Lord is calling me to share is my story. Because if Created Worthy has been about processing our stories, then honestly, I need to be better about sharing mine. So let me take you back to the beginning, where it started. You might remember that at the beginning of the year, I was stepping into a brand new season with what is now called Rise Leadership Collective, which many of you previously knew as Heart, Soul, Strength. We've completely restructured it, and I'll tell you why here in just a minute. But we were preparing for our first big fundraising event at the beginning of the year. We were laying the foundation for what was supposed to be a huge launch year. But right in the middle of all of that momentum, I was diagnosed with a brain injury. Yeah, not exactly the plot twist I was expecting. But what followed is months of treatments and tests and new medications and more rest than I ever thought possible. But it also meant offboarding every client, postponing the Rise Leadership Conference, and watching plans that I'd pour what would equate to years worth of energy into suddenly go on hold. And yet, I can honestly say it's been one of the most refining and defining seasons of my life. There has been so much pruning in business and relationships and habits, and even in how I see myself as a leader. Because before things got quiet, they got loud. The kind of loud that only comes when everything hits at once. Success, responsibility, exhaustion, and spiritual warfare all colliding in the same moment. I was trying to juggle it all, trying to be a present wife and mom. I was running a creative agency that had scaled over 1,200% in just 60 days, 1 year prior, and then trying to maintain that. I was managing a team of 6 contractors and my first W-2 employee. I was obviously launching a new nonprofit, planning a full-scale fundraising event in another state, and hosting a weekly podcast, this one, on top of it all. I kept telling myself I could handle it, that God opened all these doors, so I just needed to push harder, be better, do more. But underneath it all, something was breaking. I was slower, foggier, more forgetful than usual. Symptoms that I just brushed off, but they were actually early signs of a medically confirmed brain injury from car accidents at the end of last year. And right when I went in for my first neurological evaluation, a 2-hour exam to establish my baseline, to see where are we starting, what is the condition of my brain right now. That was in April. That same day, my professional world imploded. I will never forget it, although I would like to. I stepped out during my appointment and saw an SOS message from a team member. I called back. I was still just in that tiny bathroom. And within minutes, my entire life as I knew it started unraveling. What should have just been a conversation about a simple miscommunication spiraled into confrontation, accusation, and confusion. It became clear to me that deception had crept in fast. While I was going through this evaluation, gossip was fueling a fire of deception. So as I was standing there, looking at my phone, shaking because I could not believe what was happening, I said a few words. I said, talk to me like a human, not somebody who did something wrong. And 2, let me call you back, because right now I'm standing in front of this receptionist who is trying to get me scheduled for ongoing appointments for my traumatic brain injury, and I can't talk right now. Give me 5 minutes. From there, scheduled my appointments for the next 8 months, and I went to my car. I was dizzy, overwhelmed, frustrated, confused, trying to process what was happening while the voices and words that were coming through the other side of my phone and the messages that were coming through didn't make any sense. I couldn't even begin to understand what was happening. Not just because I was tired from 2 hours of brain testing, but also because what they were saying did not line up with any decision I had ever made, nor my character in any way, shape, or form. That moment, what I now refer to as Hell Day, changed everything. I'm not going to go into too many more details because that's not the point here, but I will say this. It felt like everything I'd built was being ripped away. And I know a lot of you have had moments like this. I grieved the loss of my plan. The friendships I thought were closer than they really were. The ministry I thought would look a certain way, and the security I thought I had. I found myself asking God the hard questions. Why would you let me pour everything I had financially, relationally, emotionally into something that would just end up falling apart? Why would you let people misunderstand my heart when I was doing my best to honor you while still being the imperfect human being that I am? Why did I feel like I was the villain in a story that wasn't even true? But here's what I've learned since then. God wasn't punishing me. He was protecting me. The enemy used deception to create chaos, but God used that chaos to clear the stage. I don't believe that any of the people that were involved are evil. I believe that they were deceived. And if I'm honest, I've been deceived before too, and I bet you have as well. We all have. Looking back, I can see that I had been praying for God to remove distractions from other people's lives. For months, I had been praying distractions to be gone. But I thought that He was giving me a word that was for someone else. I didn't realize that those distractions were right in front of my face the whole time. I didn't realize that the distractions that the Lord was warning me about were in the form of people that I love. Here's the deal. There were the wrong people in the right places, and God was plucking them out, not to bring any kind of shame to me, not to make them the bad people or me the bad person, but to protect the assignment that He has given me and to protect my family. It forced me to go back to the basics. It was actually my sweet friend, Holly, who has just been a fierce kingdom warrior during this whole season and such an incredible source of wisdom. So grateful for her. But she reminded me that I probably needed to read books that I had read back in my Mercy days when I was 15. And so she specifically said, do you remember reading Safe People by Dr. Henry Cloud and John Townsend? And I was like, well, I remember Boundaries, kind of. Like, I remember that we had to read Boundaries. I probably had to read Safe People. But she just lovingly encouraged me to read it. And so I did. And by the way, I'm going to link this book in the show notes. It is so foundational. And silly me, I seem to have forgotten the basics of what it means to be a safe person. So I needed to go learn how to identify safe people and not allow unsafe people into my inner circle, because I have a habit of doing that. It also gave some groundwork about having hard but honest conversations with my inner circle. And I realized that what I had called connection was often codependency disguised as community, even family. I missed a lot of red flags, things that I now know are signs of unsafe dynamics. Things like when one person always listens and the other person always advises, when someone's irritation over small things turn into emotional explosions, and when shared trauma becomes the foundation of the relationship instead of shared growth. I didn't see it then, but I do now. And the craziest part is that since walking through that, God has brought more than 20 women into my life who have almost identical stories, especially in ministry and leadership circles. It's wild how many of the most fruitful ministries have faced nearly identical spiritual attacks in their early stages, like John and Lisa Bevere, who have openly shared about being misunderstood and attacked before God multiplied their impact. So this isn't a story of betrayal. It's a story of protection, a story of pruning, a story of God removing what was never meant to stay so he could rebuild what is. And that's where my real healing has begun. This year has forced me to slow down and say no, not out of bitterness, but out of obedience. No to overextending myself. No to doing extra work outside of my scope just to keep people happy. No to hustling for my worthiness. Some of that came from the physical reality of having a brain injury. I literally could not do what I used to do. But the other part, that was spiritual surgery. God was building a backbone in me, teaching me the difference between being accountable and taking false responsibility, something that I have grown into in my adulthood under the pretense of radical responsibility, which is important and does make sense. But when you're taking radical responsibility for things that are absolutely not your responsibility, they're not your problem, they're based in lies, then we do not need to take that responsibility. But I did, just to keep the peace. I felt like that was being a good leader, but that's not what it was. So I needed a leadership backbone. And this is what God has used to develop that in me. The biggest leadership lesson I've learned this year is this: never, ever let people, no matter who they are, be louder than God. We've all been given spiritual gifts for a reason. That pit in your stomach might actually be discernment. Don't discredit it. I've had to recalibrate my life and put everyone back into their right places. God first, then my husband, then my daughter, and then everyone else. For whatever reason, that order just never came naturally to me, even as a Christian. Maybe it's childhood trauma, maybe it's ADHD, or years of living in a constant state of disassociation. But I've always been the type to pick a direction and go, even if it meant sacrificing peace at home in the process. And that has been another miracle of the season, watching God heal things inside my home. My daughter is doing better mentally and emotionally than she ever has. And for those of you who have walked with us over the course of her life, know how huge of a deal this is, especially after the last couple of years. And my husband feels seen, supported, and loved, which again is another miracle moment that happened very quickly as a direct result of this horrible situation. And I'm just so obsessulated with him again. At least in this moment. I mean, I love him always, but I'm obsessulated with him in this moment. And if you don't know that reference, it's Wicked, which is coming out in just a couple weeks.
I'm obsessulated.
Wicked 2 for Good, which is absolutely 100% my favorite musical and movie. I just love it. I love Wicked. So I'm elated with him. And I'm also obsessulated with Wicked. Anyway, our home, for the first time in a long time, actually, you know what, honestly, ever, feels peaceful. So I'm just going to tell you a little bit about how this even happened. In August, I took the entire month off. Well, almost. I did squeeze in a last coaching call with my beautiful friend, Bethany Rees, one night in August. I woke up at 1:07 a.m. and I couldn't shake the voice of the Lord. I opened my notes app and wrote this. It's 1:07 a.m. Get your house in order, declares the Lord. You don't need more. You don't need better. You need to look around and steward what I've already given you. I looked around my dark room, my husband snoring next to me, a cluttered nightstand, clothes piled up on the floor. And suddenly I knew exactly what the Lord meant. Stop looking outside your house for order. You don't need more bins, containers, or glass jars. You need to enjoy the space I've already given you and rest in the peace of knowing I'm bringing order to chaos as you continue in this season of rest. Turns out, getting my house in order has nothing to do with organizing closets or power washing basically everything in sight, which is what I did, and I also ruined 2 of our best rugs in the process. Anyways, Although I really only shared the highlights on social media, I didn't tell you I ruined the rugs. I just showed you that I was ruining rugs. That I actually, you didn't know I was ruining them. You just knew I was cleaning them. But those rugs did not come back to life because they were wool, and wool holds a lot of water. And there was no way for me to get all that water out of there. And then they stunk bad. And then, anyway, I miss those rugs. We're moving on back to what the Lord had me write down and process that night. This is all still part of the note. It's about releasing control of any expectations, diagnoses, or circumstances back to the only one who really knows what our futures hold. I guess this is what my journey into rest looks like, which was the very intention I set at the beginning of the year and even glued in my planner. This isn't the path I thought I was walking on. It just cut off there, like the word was complete for that time. But now I would add, this isn't the path I thought I was walking on, but it is the path he has set before me. So for that, I choose peace. I've been receiving a prompting in my spirit to, I guess, get my house in order all year, but I didn't have words for it. And what I was doing was organizing closets and deep cleaning every room in our house, which was good. That was all signs that my brain was healing. But because I still wasn't slowing down enough to actually hear, and cleaning was something I could control, God needed to scream at me. I call this encounter at 1 a.m. a time that God screamed in my face, which is exactly what I need. Because if you know me in real life, I'm actually really not good at picking up social cues. Example A, my husband said if he couldn't be the groom at our wedding, then he just wanted to make sure that he was the best man on my side so that he could make sure I was okay. And I still did not get that he was in love with me. Like, no way in my mind was that possible. Anyways, sometimes I just need to be told straight up, which is what also happened with that. I had a friend scream at me and be like, he's a great man who loves you and loves your daughter, and you need to be with him. Why do you keep choosing chaos? And I was like, that is such a good point. That is such a good point, because I missed the point. So I had been missing the point this whole year when it came to what God was trying to actually speak to me about, quote unquote, getting my house in order, i.e. surrendering, i.e. go to freaking sleep, Danielle. But eventually I got it after he screamed at me at 1 a.m. and I realized it really was about surrender and releasing control and trusting. This was the big thing. Trusting that even in rest, which for me has been in all forms, including sleep, God was working. He was working on my behalf the whole time. Okay, quick shout out to my chiropractor's office manager over at Infinity Wellness Center in Aurora, Colorado. Yes, this is a shout out. Truly the best and most caring wellness community I've ever been a part of. Ashley introduced me to a book called Declutter Your Heart and Your Home, which I will link in the show notes. It has been such a timely read for me in the season. She actually sent it to me the day after that 1 a.m. message from the Lord. Like, I've been thinking about you and the Holy Spirit put you on my heart. And also to share this book. Here's this amazing book about declutter your heart and your home. And I was like, what? Okay, cool. So I listened to it. So good. It's a beautiful blend of both tangible ways to declutter your home, like the nitty gritties of your home, like the things that you're constantly avoiding and never actually want to do. Like, we can organize a linen closet, but when was the last time you cleared out that bottom corner cabinet in your kitchen? Have you looked in the drawers in the back of your desk recently? Like those kinds of things, right? And connecting them to how minimalism is not about just having a capsule wardrobe or very little things. It's actually about having a minimalistic mindset and just simplifying things. And that is 100% what I've needed, is to simplify. It was actually, this is just a sweet story, but I asked my sit-to, who is my grandma who passed away last year at the age of 101, almost 102. I asked her what the key to a joyful life was, because she lived a very joyful life. And she told me simplicity, the key to a joyful life was simplicity. And I hated that at the moment because everything feels complicated. But now I appreciate that more than ever because I realize how much easier it is to just keep it simple. Keep it simple, stupid. I know you've probably heard that. I couldn't help but say it. I had to. Sorry. Anyway, a few weeks later, at the end of August, my husband and I went to Chicago to visit my dear friend and recent co-host, Sharita, for my birthday. It was everything I needed. Deep conversations, amazing food that she made for us, long walks, lots of laughter, and I even got my first pumpkin spice latte of the season with my fellow ex-barista, which just felt poetic. Oh, and I have a quick little story about our time in Chicago just because I think it just shows how amazing Sharita is, and she really does deserve way more honor than I've ever given her. But hopefully this makes up for it. Sharita literally saved my life during a full-on sweat attack, which is just a weird side effect of one of my medications. So shout out to her for her quick thinking and my new appreciation for overpriced grab-and-go water bottles at the Starbucks Reserve in downtown Chicago. While we were there, she also taught me how to make sourdough, and she even packed me some starter to take home. And honestly, that has become one of the most grounding rhythms in my life in this season. God knew that I needed a new hobby, right, God? Don't ask my husband about that. But God, he knew I needed a hobby that actually benefits my whole family and doesn't just lead to a new pile of crafts in our living room in the corner where all the other hobbies are. Anyways, sourdough is a slow process. The waiting, the tending, the satisfaction of creating something alive. There are just so many analogies I could knead together from this process. Did you catch that one? Okay, so to break this all down, I ghosted you. I know. I'm sorry. That was not my plan. Hi. I just have to cut in because I 100% forgot to say this earlier. All of these episodes for like the last few seasons are all on YouTube. This one specifically, I got into a super creative hyper fixation loop tonight, the same night I'm recording. But if you're watching this one on YouTube, there are some visual treats for you because I got super focused tonight and put pictures in it and stuff, which doesn't normally happen because who has the time to do this consistently? Oh my gosh. And I'm even wearing my like prism I hate these glasses. For the listeners, they're like your grandfather's transition glasses that like broke and are stuck in transition, but they're part of my vision therapy for when I'm on screens. Ella, would you like to say something to my created worthy audience?
No, there was not just a dying goat in here. That was Charlie, our dog. And hi.
A dying goat?
Yes, that was not a dying goat. That was our dog.
Okay, I'm done. But these are the three main things I've been doing. 1, sleep. A lot of it. There were days I slept 18 hours one time. I even slept 23 out of 24 hours. 2025 will forever be the year God put me to sleep. And thankfully, I heard a quote earlier in the year that said something along the lines of, sleeping is the ultimate form of trusting God to work on your behalf. And so that has carried me through a lot of this year, knowing that God is working on my behalf, even while my eyes are shut. Because that is exactly what it's been, a time where I've had no other choice but to trust that God will continue to work on my behalf, working out issues and making decisions for me while I am literally asleep. The second thing I've been doing, appointments. Oh my gosh, so many appointments. Just thinking about it makes me want to cross my eyes, which is actually something that we're working on. Anyway, neurology, TBI specialist, chiropractic, acupuncture, biofeedback, neurofeedback, MRIs, CT scans, pain specialist, psychotherapy, massage, vision therapy, and that's not even all of them. That's just the ones I can remember. My calendar has basically been a rotation of healing modalities, which is such a blessing considering there are so many people on this planet without access to any care. Whenever I get frustrated by something to do with insurance or doctor's visits that could have been a phone call, God always checks me and says something like, your frustration is someone else's miracle. That awareness pulls me right back into gratitude. And lastly, the third thing that has been keeping me going and just has been a huge part of what I've been doing over the last however many months since May is wonder. He has put out a very open invitation and actually just a direct ask for me to engage in wonder. It's actually kind of funny. It started early in the year when I got invited to one of my sweet, sweet friends' retreats that happened to be just 20 minutes from my house, hosted by one of my best friends and mentors, Krista Francis, who is an incredible missionary. She also has this ministry called Girls with Guitars, where she teaches girls of all ages how to play guitar. So the whole entire 30-day challenge that she does is learning how to play guitar by playing worship music and then connecting it to biblical stories. It's amazing. But anyway, she had and I didn't know what to expect. I just knew I needed a break and some time with women who love Jesus and creativity just as much as I do. That weekend was an absolute gift. We laughed, we worshiped, we ate snacks, we ate delicious home-cooked food, and I will never forget Kate's lemon bars. They were so good. And we were just able to be. But more than anything, it was one of those rare weekends where you just know you're standing on holy ground. There were a few moments that still give me chills. Women speaking prophetic words that felt so specific. It was as if God himself was speaking to me through actual words saying, pay attention. And one particular thing that was said was that my family would be walking into a season of sweet, renewed rhythms. And at the time, I didn't really know what that meant, and it really didn't feel possible because everything felt so chaotic. And I also didn't realize how much more pruning it would take to get there. But that word wonder just kept echoing in my spirit. Fast forward a few months, and I did something I hadn't done in over 10 years. I joined my church choir, and guess what? The theme for this year was, wonder. It just felt like a confirmation, like God was whispering, keep your eyes open. I'm not done yet. And then a few months later, I got invited to the Wonder Retreat with Life with God Ministries. And at that point, I literally laughed and I texted my friend Jen, who is the host of the Wonder Retreat. And I was like, okay, listen, this is crazy. This is the third event that I've showed up to or been invited to this year that has been wonder related. Like, I get it, God. I'm clearly supposed to pay attention to this word. So that retreat ended up being one of the most healing experiences I've ever had. There was a loose plan, which was so good because I am like I need to know every single detail of the plan and I want to create the plan and I want to da-da-da-da-da. And we didn't even get the plan until we were there. And that was something I absolutely needed, but didn't know I needed. And the intention for that was because the whole point was to show up and just be in wonder. The heart of it was really simple. Do whatever the Lord is calling you to do in this moment. Look at where the Lord is calling you to look. Some people painted. Some people took walks. We went on hikes. Some people took naps. Some journaled. We worshiped together. We went to bed earlier than normal for me, at least. Well, not this year, but when I'm on retreats, typically I'll stay up pretty late and talk to people. Nope, not this year. We went to bed at like 10. I think that was maybe one night we stayed up till 11, but it was a small group of female ministry leaders, which again, after what had happened earlier this year, was just a weird situation to be in itself, but it was so intentional. It was at that retreat that I realized that the way that I was resting didn't just have to be a seasonal thing, but it could be a rhythmic thing. That rest was something he was inviting me into, just like wonder is something he's invited me into. Rest isn't something that I needed to be afraid of or think that things weren't going to get done if I rested, or that rest is just for when we're dead. Sometimes rest is a rhythm, a necessary rhythm in order to carry you into that season of leadership, that next season. If you lead from a place of rest, then striving ceases and follows. These experiences with wonder reminded me that it's okay to give ourselves permission to ebb and flow within whatever the season that we're in, that there is wonder to be found in every season. whether it's difficult and trying or peaceful and quiet. We don't have to control what's next. And ever since this, wonder has become a quiet anchor for me. It shows up in conversations with mentors and friends, in late night tears and prayers with my husband, in quiet moments when I finally turn off the noise. I still use my app blockers Monday through Thursday from 9 to 4 to help me stay off social media. And I'll put that link in the show notes in case you're interested in checking that out. It honestly has been so helpful for me because I often will just mindlessly open an app on my phone and scroll, and I know that that's so common, and also it's something I just really hate doing when I'm trying to use my time more intentionally, right? Or I'm trying to sleep, put my freaking phone down. Trust me, I'm still preaching this to my choir as in me. I am the choir. I'm still finding my words, okay? But every morning I do try to just start in my word, usually with YouVersion. Reading has become increasingly difficult just as a result of the brain injury as well. But also I'm an Audible learner, so it's really nice that I can just pick up the YouVersion app and listen to whatever version of the Bible I want to listen to. I just pray and let the Lord lead me. That's the season I'm in, one step at a time. But my husband and I also have found it to be really helpful in just starting conversations to go through plans together, or sometimes I'll just go through them by myself on the YouVersion app. And Jen, the same woman who hosted the retreat, the Wonder Retreat, the third one, not the first one, she actually has a bunch of different plans on that app. You should totally check them out. Her most recent one is called Wonder. It's so good. It's like a taste of what we got to experience in that beautiful cabin in Oklahoma that sat on top of a mountain in the fall. It was so beautiful, you guys. Thank you, Lord, for bringing me there. Also, please let me have another experience like that. I just cannot recommend it enough. Anyways, go check out her incredible devotional plan on the YouVersion app. And yeah, I just encourage all of you, anyone who's listening, to engage in wonder. It really is a choice, and it really is about trusting that He is doing something good. Hi, post-production Danielle here to tell you that I forgot 2 other things that I've been doing because it's the middle of November and what in the world. So another miracle moment / God thing is my beautiful friend Bethany Rees released her incredible leadership book, Leadership on the Rocks. Go buy it. It's phenomenal. And it would be an especially great gift for any leaders who you know or work with that could use a practical guide to leadership development that can be implemented right now. It even comes with a free workbook. Okay, anyways. And I was connected with my now brilliant, beautiful friend, Becky Keith, by a really good friend, mutual friend of ours. And I was able to help her, just come alongside her and be a support stand-in as her creative director as she was launching her book with Penguin Random House. It is a book that is called A Verse a Day for the Anxious Soul. Actually have it right here. So for you YouTube listeners, you can see it. It is beautiful. It is laid out so simply, but with such depth behind it. So I just opened up to 10. Stop stuffing grief in the closet. I'm just going to read her prayer that she has at the end of each day. Inhale truth. God is close to my broken heart. Exhale trust. He will save me and heal me. Lord, I am grateful you understand my grief, my sorrow, my broken heart. You do not judge me when my anxiety flares or when I don't know how to process my feelings. Please show me how to welcome my grief so I can move through these overwhelming feelings and receive your healing. You know what I'm going through. Help me to see you here. Amen. Becky's words are just salve for the soul. They really are. And it is no accident that the Lord brought her into my life in this season, in this year. And this book has been such a huge blessing to me. So honored as I have been to lead alongside of her in caring for her Peace Practice Club, which has been also her book launch team. It's also just been a beautiful gift to be able to learn from such an incredible leader who's been in the ministry space and who's been writing and who exemplifies what it looks like to be a follower of Christ and to still struggle with anxiety, real human things. And then lastly, the fifth thing that I have been up to. No, this is a season of rest for me. Okay, you guys, you can ask my husband. I really do sleep so much more than I ever have in my life. But in these last couple of months, as my energy has started to increase again, the Lord has also opened doors, and closed doors, but opened some doors that have been peace for my soul in ways that I would have never expected. And that is exactly what I wanted to talk about and that is exactly what number 5 is, which is I have picked up a part-time job just through the holidays season, well, right before the holidays end, where I'm helping to care for my good friend, Erica Brulette's husband, who got into a really horrible car accident. I'll share some pictures here. And if you're not watching this on YouTube, go watch this part so that you can see who I'm talking about. But her husband's name is Shelby and got a really bad traumatic brain injury. And it is a complete miracle that he is alive. He has been healing for the last 5 years, but to date, he still is not walking. He can't talk. He doesn't eat solid food yet. But we are believing that he is going to walk and he is going to talk and he is going to eat solid food again. But you can tell that he is there. And as somebody who helps other people to tell their stories, I believe that the Lord has placed me in his life for this time to help him to share his story, even in just small ways. And every day we find new ways to communicate, and I have new questions to ask him. The reason that I'm helping Shelby right now is because Erica, my good friend, needed a surgery, and during recovery, she can't be lifting him and doing the physical work that it takes, showering him, to be a caretaker, as she has been for the last almost 5 years, while raising young children and just being an all over rock star. She's a leader in various different capacities. You guys, Erica is brilliant. She is so cool, so much cooler than I could ever be. And I just love her so much. And also, she has a podcast called The Real Lives for TBI Wives. Go listen to it. She tells her whole story in the first episode of the podcast. She shares a little bit more of her story throughout the conversations that she has with all kinds of incredible experts. She's talked to lawyers, she's talked to financial people, all different kinds of conversations that she has that are really, truly just so helpful, like such helpful information to know, because nobody plans for an accident like that. But to be able to walk forward and say, you know what, I'm going to live well through this. I'm going to reclaim my life, which is exactly what she's doing. That is a testimony. So this is my friend Shelby. You can see him here on the screen. He's awesome. I hang out with him 5 days a week, but only a couple hours a day to help with mostly night routine stuff. But yeah, I mean, never in a bajillion years would I have ever thought I'd be a caregiver. But in the season where I have not been able to be on a screen for more than 3 to max 4 hours a day for many, many months now, it's a blessing in so many different ways, but especially to my heart that I'm able to do this type of work in this season and to just be able to serve a family that I love so, so dearly. So go check out Erica and her story and all the amazing work that she is doing. And that really is the final thing that's been going on. Okay. This is way longer episode than I thought it was going to be. A real quick update on what's next, and then bing, bang, boom, you are updated. I have unghosted you. I am sorry. Please forgive me. Let's talk about miracle moments. Okay, I know this is getting ridiculous. This is getting absolutely ridiculous. I have got to go to bed, but I just realized something. So I forgot I had recorded a portion of this with Sharita, with her updates of her miracle moments as well. We had an incredible conversation about all things miracles and our updates and how God has shown up in a variety of ways. So instead of making this episode longer, I've decided I'm just going to make that one another episode. It just won't have video. It'll be a true podcast. And I don't know when I'm going to drop that exactly. Anyways, there's a whole nother conversation about miracle moments that I recorded over a week ago with Sharita. And it's a really good one. So listen to it when it comes up, whenever. Of course, the biggest miracles, Gary and Ella, my husband and my daughter, are both getting baptized on Saturday. So in 2 days from today. And you know what's crazy is day I'm recording this, which for the record is Thursday, November 13th. This is the exact weekend that I would have been in Waco for the now postponed Rise Leadership Conference. You guys, did you catch that? My husband and daughter are getting baptized on the exact same day I would have been in Waco. So, I mean, not to make this about me. It's not about me at all, I promise. But that would not have happened if I was in Waco. Like, they would have just dismissed it and been like, well, we can't get baptized on that day. My mom's not here. Mom's not here. You guys, do you know how much more important it is that they are choosing to get baptized on that? Like, what a gift this is. Tell me that is not divine timing. If you're new here, Gary, my husband, is technically Ella's stepdad, but he's been a full-time dad to her since she was 2. He came to know Jesus by just choosing to come to church with us. Actually, before him and I were ever together, he was like, I just want to check out your church. And before he ever proposed to me, he wanted to make sure it was his faith, not just mine, because I had always known since meeting him that I felt called into ministry. And so it was super important to me that I had a husband who believed in God. Listen, I will respect your beliefs, whatever they are. If you want to sit down and talk about your beliefs, I am not going to shame you. I'm just not the one, right? But with my husband, it was really important. So anyways, he met with pastors, he asked questions, he wrestled with doubt, and then he finally said yes to Jesus. And then he said it for the very first time out loud when he was proposing to me in front of all of our friends. He told me that he wanted to love and serve Jesus with me forever. And now, 7 years later, he and Ella, my daughter, are getting baptized. And that's just full circle grace right there, you guys. That's a miracle. It's a miracle moment. There are so many miracle moments, though. He has been faithful in so many little ways too, in provision, in clarity, in healing. Even after pausing 2 businesses, he has provided for us almost to the dollar every single month. He has renewed my dreams, which is something that I've just struggled with for the last few years. He showed me how to dream with him and how to dream bigger, slowly, tenderly, with less expectations, but with a new strength. So what's next for Created Worthy? Well, I'm just going to call it season 5 is over. Processing episodes are, we love processing episodes, okay? But here's the deal. I cannot continue to not have a break with Created Worthy. It just is not a show that was set up that way. It was a show that was set up to be 20 episodes at a time. That is a season. And then we move to the next one. So because this season of rest is not over, it is of utmost importance that I maintain this sweet season of new rhythms that has come to be for both me and my family. But I am learning how to work in recording episodes as part of the rhythm. Now, here's the deal. I don't have an exact release date for the next story episode, but I can tell you that season 6 is officially in motion. I am slowly reopening my calendar for the life story interviews. I postponed a ton of them over the summer. So we have a whole wait list of guests ready to record for season 6, and I will be reaching out to them soon. And I'm actually recording with my 3rd guest for the season tomorrow. So things are happening. Created Worthy is coming back. Season 6 will release when we have between 5 and 8 episodes recorded for the season. So It could be this year, it could be early next year, not really sure. We'll see what happens with the timing of that, but it is coming back and it will be fully focused on life stories and incorporating creative processing. But creative processing episodes, they are no longer going to be shared here on Created Worthy, at least not right now. That's not in the plan, but they're not going away. There was such an incredible response to those episodes that after several months of prayer and contemplation and just trying to figure out, okay, where does this fit in? How do we work this into a rhythm? Does this fit with Created Worthy, or is this something that is more in line with the Rise Leadership Collective? And basically, we decided that it's way more in line with the Rise Leadership Collective. So we decided to start a podcast called the Rise Leadership Podcast, which obviously is an extension of the Rise Leadership Collective. It will be sponsored and hosted by Rise Leadership Collective. It'll be the first official resource that is an ongoing resource that'll be out there and available for leaders who feel called to rise up. More info coming at the end of this episode. You will hear the trailer of the Rise Leadership Podcast. So please make sure to subscribe anywhere that you find your podcast. And I'll end it on this. If this time away has taught me anything, it's that God's timing is never behind. It's precise. It's perfect. So stay tuned. New episodes, season 6, Created Worthy. It's coming soon-ish. And when it does, it will be worth the wait. Until then, I want to encourage you to lean into rest, wonder, and whatever healing looks like for you right now. Because you, my friend, no matter what you've been through or what you may be going through, you are created worthy. Leadership today feels complicated, heavy, lonely, like everyone's watching, but no one's really seeing you.
And the truth is, most leaders don't have a safe space to talk about the real stuff, the messy truth, the things leaders are not supposed to say out loud. So we decided to build that space. That's why we created the Rise Leadership Podcast. It's an extension of the Rise Leadership Collective, our nonprofit for leaders who are exhausted, overlooked, healing, and somehow still choosing to show up with hope. I'm Sharita Harkness, Chief Play Officer, storyteller, educator, lifelong learner, and hygge enthusiast, reimagining what leadership looks like. I leverage play as a tool to help executives and teams partner purpose with profit.
And I'm Danielle Damrell, creative, speaker, life story coach, also a lifelong learner, and leader who has spent the last decade in various positions of leadership from below, holding space for the hard and helping leaders at all levels rediscover their voice and share their stories.
This podcast is an invitation to move beyond oversimplified leadership answers. Our heart is to create a space for the complex, necessary conversations that truly shape intentional leaders and teams, the ones we often navigate alone.
Conversations that center around issues like rejection, trust, burnout, identity, what to do when leadership wounds come from places that were supposed to be safe.
We'll work through these topics in real time, using tools like creative processing, practical application, and honest stories from our own journeys and the leaders we've partnered with through the years.
Leadership is a practice, not a theory. Its real magic is lived in the hard decisions, the messy moments, and the vulnerable truths we're told to hide.
This is a space for the conversations that make that practice possible, where we lead with heart, lean into community, and find the courage to grow while doing real work.
And if you're a leader who's felt stretched thin, unheard, unseen, misunderstood, or you're just sick and tired of how it's quote unquote always been, you belong here.
So pull up a chair. Let's rise.
I have a chicken salad in my teeth. Every time I go to record this episode, something happens. Like I'm having mad cramps right now. What in the actual world? At the Starbucks Rotisserie in downtown Chicago. Is it rotisserie?
I need a memory spark.
What does that even mean?
I need a memory spark.
What does that mean?
A story spark. I need a story spark.
For you?
Yes. I love you, but I can't talk to you right now because I'm actually doing this recording.
I am not doing this with you.
Okay, bye. I love you. I'll call you back. And in case you were wondering, if you're on YouTube, if you're wondering if it's extensions because it's like these short layers, no. This is my ponytail, and then this is my hair, and it is just not layered because I cut it myself. One day I will not, but that day is not today. Grief is a peculiar, I can't say that. Peculiar. Grief is a peculiar, no. So turns out it actually took more like 12 weeks to get this episode produced. Lots more interruptions, but also lots more clarity. So here we are, 12 weeks later, and I hope you will join us for season 6 of the Created Worthy podcast. And look out, at the beginning of the year, the Rise Leadership podcast is coming your way as well. All right, my friends, thanks for being here. Thanks for being along on this wild journey. Thanks for laughing with me. Thanks for crying sometimes. I really do appreciate you. Merry Christmas and Happy New Year.